hello Galactic family. Even if they have been shed, you have seen that for many years since the celestial honeymoon, we have never revealed the last keys to anyone. Even if you have lived them on the vibral plane, you have not yet had the possibility of having the effectiveness of their pronunciation. You had the ARCTURIAN Mizal, and now you have Elohim, Nephilim, and you have OUR. And there you have the whole language named Original Gina Abdul Sumer, linked to the genetic mothers of Sirius, creators of this world. That serve to arm the Word, to provide the crystalline matrices, which allow the experience of consciousness in all the worlds, in any dimension whatsoever. The OUR does not need to be pronounced, because it is included anywhere, in the R, and HIM with the H, aspirated, as it is, in the Hebrew, of the He. So this does not give IM, but HIM. Question: there is a correspondence between the 12 keys Metatron and the 12 stars? Ah, great observation. Yes, of course it's obvious. You have ARCTURIAN Mizal, right? And you have the 7 other perfect syllables that are not pronounceable here on Earth. You integrate them, vibrationally, since the elements manifest themselves, but there are no syllables to give it, because they are unpronounceable with the human voice, whatever. And, is what the question? Ah yes, the correspondence. Yes, of course. There are 12 stars, there are 12 Metatronic keys, there are 5 new bodies, and on the sagittal axis you have then 2, you have a point, that is the point OD, that is there, and the ER point, above corresponding to the ER point up there, the sacred Lemniscata, of which he referred some years ago. And you also have the side gates, of course, those side gates that are directly connected, I would say, to the synchrony of the set of 4 elements, but also, of course, of each of its components of these 4 elements, by 3 triangles, that is, 4 times 3, 12. It is also, the symbolic of the 12 works of Hercules, of course. And that corresponds to the 12 dorsal vertebrae, the summary of which is made, of course, at the height of the key wrist T point on the back. All this is connected and, as they told you, there was this installation at 0 time, that is, the disappearance of the past and the future. Likewise there is also a fusion between the front and back of the body, illustrated by opening that matrix at the level of the posterior pericardium. So all of this corresponds to the same events, that is, you should not believe that because there is a form of chaos, whether it is in you, in the world, on the planet, at the level of the elements, which is, I would say, an end. It is, on the contrary, the emergence, the hatching. It is not a renewal, it is birth. All this, you know. And, of course, this birth passes through the disappearance not only of structures and organizations, not only of the categories, but of all energies and consciousnesses, indelibly addicted to the confinement that lasts so long. So there are no more lines of predation that were installed at the collective level, which are disaggregated, but also the lines of personal and individual predation. And sometimes to make individual lines of predation disappear, it takes a body trauma, a brick is needed on the head, a tsunami is needed, more powerful things are needed, I would say, even if you do not understand them. Because, even if you do not understand the meaning of a dream, even if you do not understand the meaning of a vision, the work is actually done in you. It is not the explanation that does the work. It is the reality of what is lived that does the work by itself, whether in meditation, in dream, or by a broken leg or no matter what else. Here it is. Yes, indeed, the 12 Metatron keys correspond and are poured out. they actualize themselves on earth and they correspond to the totality, of course, of the body of existence. They correspond to the abode of supreme peace, also, the white, which appears more and more, and also to the absolute, that is, the disappearance, even if you are not aware, even if you do not bring anything, absolutely, even the notion of passage, for the moment. If you live this, I assure you that, at the moment of the passage of the appeal of Mary and of the resurrection, you will pass without any problem, whatever it is today, in you, in relation to the elements, that is, the mental that goes back to work, coming rages, control needs and others. All this, if you wish, helps you, even if it is very difficult to live in this moment, for some, not for everyone. Now it is necessary to understand that the supramental and, above all, the association of the metatronic keys, will give or multiplied power to the light. This light penetrates through the head, but it must not remain in the head, it must descend and travel throughout the body and establish its foundations at the level of the chest. Little by little, gradually and as the gestation and grace make the junction of the vibrations of the new metatronic keys in you, you will be able to harmonically resonate with this body of being. Obviously, the sacred syllables, the Metatron keys brought by the Archangel Metatron, Lord Metatron, as we name it, correspond to the reality of his return to the light. Question: could you give us precisions about the pronunciation of the sacred syllables Od, Im, Is, Au? The pronunciation of the 5 metatronic keys, or syllables of true and not inverted light, must be made loudly because vibration is necessary, as most of you have found. By pronouncing these sounds, it brings you a vibration that manifests in your being, whether in the head, or in the body, or in the heart. However, the penetration points are in the head. There is no rule of pronunciation, there is no specific way of pronouncing. It is not only notes of music, in the sense in which we can understand, as notes, for example, do re mi, but, rather, the pronunciation of oder, I am. So whether you say it in the Od or Im is Al mode, or pronounce Od or Im is Al, or even Od or Im is Al singing, it does not matter. As I said yesterday, the principle is to raise the tongue and not to lower it, that is, to raise the vibration on a point of contact standing on the 5 points of vibration in your head and also in the body, representing each one of its 5 extremities, that is, the head, the hands and the feet. Each sacred syllable of the matrix sends them to one of its extremities, which itself will send them to the center. So you are asked, and you will be asked, to integrate the vibrations and the points of the new consciousness into you. Some of these points are already known to them, they were called new lamps. Others are coming and corresponding to the revelations of the last 7 metatronic keys. Question: can consciousness of Christ in himself be a reality? The awareness of Christ in himself is not the presence of Christ in himself. Christ in himself can only arrive after the announcement of Mary and after the revelation of the last metatronic keys, not before. However, and indeed, it is wise to conceive as Christ in himself, but the vibratory reality of Christ in himself is not yet completed. It will be held, on a collective basis, at the time when the reunification of the 3 fireplaces is carried out in a durable manner, and this can only occur once the missing Metatron keys are handed to them. It means that, once the Metatronic keys have been revealed to humanity, from the moment the Mary announcement is made, everything is possible, in the next instant. Question: is there a connection between the bodies and the stars of Mary? Yes. In the same way that you have some activation points that have been given to you to favor the awakening of the heart, by the beloved Master Ram, likewise, There is a vibratory resonance and, in some way, a connection between the stars of Mary and the new bodies. Incidentally, this has been communicated to them, it seems to me, last year. Everything will be completed by the new keys. Just as you have worked through the sacred syllables on the points at the level of the head, there are others that have not been given to you about their function and their activation. This will be the case at the time of the revelation of the last Metatronic keys. The new Metatronic keys, the last Metatronic keys of light, when revealed, will activate in you the 12 stars of Mary and therefore the 12 points of consciousness that exist in your head that allow you to be equipped, I would say, of the set of spiritual functions that allow them to see the truth as it is. However, as soon as the last Metatron keys of light are revealed to you, you will find that you have the possibility, for some of you, consciously, or unconsciously for some people, of leaving this dimension and translating in a dimensional way. This is a reality. This world is still safe for you as you take part in it. But when you take the point of view of unlimited inner consciousness, you brutally perceive the unreality of this world and the unreality of what has been inculcated to you, which are only beliefs based, not by their actual facts, even in the matrix, but on projections sustained and induced by those who, for the time being, still have power in this world. What became possible for the first time, still incarnated, by the passage of the Metatronic keys, last year, will become even more effective from the advent of the cross in heaven and the moment when Archangel Metatron unveils the last keys. And this is what will accomplish the last Metatronic keys, which will allow them to see through the illusion and begin to perceive also the vision of the heart. This heart vision is devoid of emotion. This heart vision sets in when you have transcended fears in the midst of this illusory vehicle. Question: is there a difference if it is done loudly or mentally? But surely there is a difference in vibration. When it is mental, vibration remains on the level of the mental. When it is spoken by language, with these syllables, you penetrate the creative word. It is the first part of the Metatronic keys that was revealed to him. It is what allowed to put into operation, soon after, the Archangel Uriel, that is, the reversion and vibration of the 11th lamp. The last Metatronic keys will open their mouths, that is, they will move them from language to the word, by the activation of extremely specific circuits that exist between the 10th and 12th body. So to say, inside of you, silently, or vibratorily with your tongue, this has nothing else to do. At the end of the year, we replaced by posturology, if you followed closely, because your body was impregnated with this vibral light, and was then made possible by the position of his hands, head, or your body, unleashed the vibral light without pronouncing the odd or imizal. It is what you live with the postures NDR, for example, the postures of the reunification of the 5 new bodies, which is part of the protocols 1. This is true for everyone. You can, if you wish, still today, sing odd or imizal too. The light is added according to the position of your body and your mechanism of thought, since the Metatronic keys, since last year, have had time to settle on earth, by the penetration of the fire of heaven in the midst of the fire of the earth. These Metatronic keys, which allow new human beings, not yet interested in the process of ascension, to awaken and to cross the stages extremely quickly, allowing them to unravel and live their body of existence. Bodies of existence that will approach, from now on, to each manifestation of its sun, to the closest of its physical presence. Some of you will perceive, at that moment, a strengthening of the radiant crown of the head and the radiant crown of the heart, manifesting in the middle of the head. It is in these two energetic movements that the capacity will be produced for you to come out in full consciousness of this body, to avoid the astral plane and to meet ephemerally in the body of existence. More and more human beings are called to live this, each one, yet once, at their own pace. The addition of the last Metatronic keys, which allow us to live the wheel on the wheel, as it was called, will resonantly allow us to place ourselves in the vibration amid the radiant heart crown. There will be nothing but an act of abandonment, no more to the light, but abandonment of the ego to light the lower sacred triangle, allowing them to reunite the triple fireplace. Only from that moment on will you be totally free. The abandonment of the ego is effectively the last step, after abandonment to the light, allowing them, after the revelation of the last Metatronic keys, to accede to their state of being. There you are, beloved sons of light, who wanted to vibrate with you, within what is called history and within what is called truth, to help you by words, by vibration, to always go to closer to your truth. It remained, however, to reveal the last three Metatronic keys which, precisely, come to definitively break the Luciferian illusion. Sri Aurobindo, August 10, 2010, Otters dimensions the Metatronic keys, unity, truth, beyond good and evil, restore the will in its entirety, thus breaking the vicious and perverse circle of reincarnation, into the illusion, releasing them and allowing them, if their liberty accepts it, to live again free from every fixed form, from every fixed personality, from all fixed reincarnation. Elohim, pronounced by Metatron, now corresponds 2 years after the revelation of the 5 Metatronic keys ARCTURIAN Mizal, to Kiristi Gate, to effect the last passage, that is, the return to Elohim. The other keys, the last 7 keys, are the vibratory tools that allow them, do not experience the state of being or relocation, but are permanently relocated. Question in the information transmitted: what are your priority precautions? The most important precaution is to respect the 30-minute alignment period assigned to them. It is important to vibrate the sacred syllables several times a day. I do not ask you to do this for countless hours, but it will not be more than a few times, in order to replace the crown of the heart and the crown of the head in vibration in a sung way. The 5 sounds can be dissociated, or connected, it is up to you to make your experience. The most important thing is to remain aligned. If alignment is difficult for you in a home, enjoy the vibration of the trees. Some have a need for water, but the trees are what will allow them to channel more easily the light rays that come on Earth today. Also try, if you can, to connect vibrationally and visually and by the heart with the Metatron radiation coming from Betelgeuse. Thus, the OD, for example, corresponds to the transformed OM, but the matrix language is the OD. Whether you utter ad, id, odd, or ud, you put the tongue in the same way the tongue stands up, it raises, therefore the vibration. Then, with the tongue inverted, the DO, the MO, puts the tongue down and causes the density and densification of the vibration. There is, therefore, a vibratory modification induced in its structures, in its brain, in its heart and in its cells. This is the truth. You could even record by simple means and see the effectiveness on an electroencephalogram, on an electrocardiogram, of these sacred syllables. You would thus have the undeniable manifestation in matter and the undeniable effect in your own rhythms. Thus, you can pronounce these syllables by singing, humming, simply, one by one, or the together. However, many of you realize effectiveness, it is at that level,